We're live. All right, welcome everyone. July 3rd edition, special little shortened session today. Said, hey, let's do a little video. We're going to be a little bit maybe shorter today, maybe not. I don't know, because I tend to blab and blather. I'm headed to the Yankees game soon, and the happy hour before that on the Upper East Side. So without further ado, and then tomorrow hopefully beach if it's not 1,000 degrees. All right, let's share the screen. So this was interesting. So, tomorrow's America's birthday, but someone forgot to tell the markets because today all the love was for emerging markets. It was for Brazil, for Taiwan, Chinese internet, spaces like that. And then regional banks got hit quite a bit today. We'll take a look, and new all-time highs on a shortened session, obviously low volume, although typical in terms of an hourly average of SPY QQQ trading. The new all-time highs printed for the S&P 500, Qs, and India, among many other indices. So we'll take a look. The big moves today, like I said, were emerging markets, Chinese internet, Brazil, Taiwan, and the gold miners with down moves almost 2% for the regional banks. And some moves today with the gainers and the losers list. So silver just popped off and is now the best long in the market due to a big move today, and the third best trade overall. And Nat Gas and Bitto, short Bitcoin, that one is not working out right now. We'll see how it trades into the holiday. But without further ado, let me boopity bop share the screen. I said I was going to have, I think, a beer for today's session, but I'm gonna I guess get those $23 beers at Yankee Stadium with the chicken bucket, and you put the hat and they put ice cream in it with fries or something, and I think they put you in an ambulance, Uber ambulance home. So I'm gonna try and celebrate America with that. And of course, it's a fireworks game. So here's the intraday chart. So low volume today. Here was the orange line is the VWAP. Really not. We just tread the line until about 10:30. Then a bit of exuberance came into the market. We started really to lift, and then boom, right at the last 30 minutes of trading, we hit the high at 551. Pretty extraordinary. What does it all mean? As I thought we were going to have a bearish regime, a little bit of a distribution instead of accumulation through July 5th. What does it mean? We are hitting our heads again right here. It's pretty wild. Let me say. So it did a lot in in the past couple of days. The past two sessions, it really did gain quite a bit. Looking at the low, we went from 543 to 551 in one session. 1.5% or so. I do see a little bit of a accumulation, but not all in one go. Earnings also start, I believe, the end of next week or 2 weeks with JP Morgan kicking off. Marko Kolanovic no longer with JP Morgan. Crazy. Bears get taken out to the woodshed during rallies like this with this 11 VIX environment, and it looks like he's another casualty. Although, I mean, amazing, career doing what he's doing for over, I think, 20 plus years. So all that being said, the 21-day exponential moving average is 541 straight up on the SPY. I just see a little bit of consolidation, about 10 points. I don't think it's going to hurt, but you might get 2% down along the way. And this market is going to continue to churn higher up to the tune of about 2% a month. It's crazy. The mega caps, or XLG, my favorite, my baby, is up 25%. As of today, through the past 6 months, you're looking at 2% a month. It's just cranking along due to amazing NVIDIA gains. Every sell-off gets bought back. It's pretty tough. I want to say it sounds too a little bit too cute that the market's just going to accumulate and get 2% a month, especially in the mega caps. Then you end up with a 50% year. But when you have the quickest adoption with something like AI, more than internet, more than cloud, it kind of makes sense where you have that outperformance in the Qs. And we'll look at right now the broadening of the not broadening, but we'll see what happened today with those emerging markets, because some of them were not getting love. So let's go to this. So this is the VWO, basically very similar to your EEM. So they gobbled us up today, up 1.5%. So this thing had really, as I said, look at the consolidation and just hovering along its 21-day moving average and the middle range. Now it hit its head all in one go. It's similar to what happened in our market. So this thing went from 43.80 to all the way to 44.70. A big move for this in one day. Now, what I do think this starts to get a little bit of, I think this starts to get bit up. Its 52-week high is back here, not ancient history. If you start to get this, there's really a broadening. It's not just 3 tech companies anymore. There's even a growth to this. And look at the black line of 200-day moving average, really not doing anything. And then once we start taking out these highs these April highs, which we did in May, and then held right here. So I'm looking at 42.60 in this. It's a meaningful level. I don't hate emerging markets. It's been a long time since I said that in terms of investing. One looks like it starts to get a little bit of momentum. Wouldn't chase it here. Better for an entry on that one around like 43.70, and then I would get long. That looks interesting, that one. All right, K-Web Chinese Internet. This thing's been hated. We said this line is, I don't want to say a steel wall, but it's a pretty strong line. It's 200-day moving average at 27 bucks even. It got there, it drifted, about 3 days it took, and then woof. So a lot of gobbling up in markets, as you can see the last 2 days, 27 to 28.20, boom, $1.20. That's good for about 3.5% of the stock. Now what? We just so happen to be at our 20, just a hair underneath the 21-day moving average. It's funny, we just said we like emerging markets. This one typically had its similar high, right? But this one has less momentum, less velocity. This black line is actually going down to staying flat. It's like at 27 even. So don't love that part. I don't think you're going to get a ton of relative strength in this versus emerging markets at large. So I don't love it, but this could be violent rotation where they invest in laggards and junk like this. Not junk, just flattish, less momentum driving in there. So I do see it being accumulated maybe to 29 half-ish, so maybe like another $1.50. There's a good bullish backdrop right now to the market. So, all right, so not everyone has a amazing run, right? EWZ, we were talking about, how it's been a good short this year, I believe, in last week's video. Today had a big move, 3%. So now what? It's funny. So we said this, I thought was good support. I mean, it's a 52-week low, so, not. So 26.5 was that low here. And now it's just going from 26.85 to 28.10. I think it's going to get pretty tired right around here, and I think it might want to revisit. This is not a place for strength. This looks ultimately very heavy up top. I would stay away from here. I wouldn't want to, I guess maybe short if it gets bid up a little bit higher, and then you have an opportunity, but I don't know. This one's not popping out at me. Taiwan, this one's been a stronger performer. Yeah, I love that black line here. The highs were just put in literally less than 2 weeks ago. Did it do it today? It's very close today. This is 11 cents away from making a new 52-week high. Let's take a look at this. So this, if you get an entry here at its 21-day exponential moving average of 53.10, that would be extraordinary. If you got some, I don't know, dumb sell-off, maybe correlated to like Taiwan Semi or something like that, it's just a sell chips day, something like that. Taiwan Semi is a big constituent of this holding. If you can get to 53.10 or so in this, I don't know if you're going to get it. That would be great. And then your target's probably close to 55 where it is here. But right here, a little bit frothy. Not as much as it was here. Not even technically getting overbought. And this is a nice looking candle. Probably new 52-week highs on, their markets are open. They don't really give a beep about July 4th. So they'll trade. We'll see what happens with them when we come back on Friday. And then the gold miners, they gobbled that up today to the tune of 4.5% nearly. That was pretty big. Let's see. China was also bid up. I was going to throw another one. It was emerging markets, Chinese internet. I didn't want to focus again on another country ETF. So I want to get a little bit of a different tell. And this is the GDXJ. Now what? Oof, a big move from 42.20 all the way to like 43.90 in a day, or 4.5%. Now what? This has had a nice, basing, I'll say, since 40. Going back to the early part of May, and then it put in its high just right before Memorial Day here on May 20th at 47 bucks. We're trading 44 here. Now, why I see this in distribution mode, I think this goes to 41 over the next 3 weeks or so. I think they exit out of this. That was nice, but I don't think it holds. All right, for the down move, so we're talking about all those assets because they were up multiple sigmas today. For the down move, so the KRA, the regional banks, we were talking about regional banks because it was on the winner list. If you remember, this thing popped from 47 to 48.5 pretty quickly. Now they sold off pretty hard, 2% or so with that drop in rates. Rates dropped pretty hard, pretty good today. There's data out this morning, I believe. So this one, I have other charts as well. There's just significant resistance at 49.75. I'll put the line here to show that. So right about here, that's just meaningful resistance. I don't think it's going to get there. It did a good job. And then now you technically have a bearish engulfing candle right here with this whole red candle swallows up the candle from prior session, and also we closed at the absolute lows today. Not really great. So this looks like it wants to go lower. Where to? I think easily this gets to 47.90 for just a natural resting place, and let's see what happens. Ultimately, you do have good support at 47.15. So that's where my next bus stops, if you will, are for that. Okay, next. Top 5 gainers of the past 5 days, no repeats. Silver, we were talking about this one. Silver, the best long in the market over the past 5 days, up 6%. Obviously, a lot of this was today. It moved up 3%, but look at this. Just a nice move from here in the past 5 days, 26.30 all the way to 27.90. Now what? Is there an opportunity? I think this silver moves crazy. I think this wants to go a little bit higher to about 28.75. I think you have a little bit more. You'll get a little bit vol expansion. 2075 with your 52-week high being at 29.56. I think we talked about this last week or earlier this week. I think it wants to try and get there. Look at this, lower highs here, and now very important levels. See if it gets over 28.10 or so, and then ultimately 28.5, and then before it tries to take out those 52-week highs. I think it makes a run. I think it makes a run towards 28.75. I think it gets around here. And then they'll spook people, think it's going to go to the new 52-week high, not do it, and then move a little bit lower. I don't think it gets crazy stretched away from its 200-day moving average is also another point of my thesis of why I don't think it does it. Next, XME or XMIzzle, I guess, to Snoop Dogg. I saw him. He was running like the Olympics. He's a smoker, and he's like 50, and he's running. God bless. That's not going to say anything else. All right, so XME up 1 point, almost 8%. It's hitting its head here, a nice 200-day moving average, although it's starting to slow a little bit, but it's still rising. Obviously, this is a little bit correlated to the silver story. This is the second best gainer in the market. That's interesting. So I want to have correlated. Usually a thesis usually pops out at me, but this I actually see. I don't love this story, and I see this going lower. It may not be dramatic, but I think this is going to 60, and then I think it ultimately may get to 58. So I don't love this. So that's all I have to say about that. ARC up 4.5%. All right, trying to rush here, trying to get drinks and Aaron Judge. Hopefully see him do something crazy today. They dropped that game last night. I haven't been able to make it to a Phillies game yet. I'm not a poser or anything. I love my Phillies. I just like the Yanks too, and I haven't been able to get out there yet. Want to get back to Citizens. All right, so ARC, this thing's wild. We'll look at ARC-G in a second. So ARC is the third best long in the market this week, up 4.5%. So that tells you possibly something about rates. This is an interesting chart. I think it goes up to about 46.25, so a little bit more, not crazy. I think a little bit of exuberance catches on. It's a nice move, and I get why we're talking about it here. I think this has a little bit more to go to about, not a ton, but right here, I think it's going to get even further outside the band, get a little bit of expansion, and then ultimately probably get towards that $44 area again. All right, the fourth best area this week for a long, semiconductors. You saw some of the crazy moves in NVIDIA among Broadcom and the others this week. So today was up 1.6. They gobbled it up. This story's not over. As long as you have those AI backdrop, and that's the main driver and catalyst for all this momentum and positivity in the market, they're going to buy semiconductors because you need those. Big money flow buy. They're buying this on the close, the semiconductors. Lets you know institutions are behind it in part. This is totally in accumulation mode. I think this is going to make a run towards 260, which is a tie of its 52-week high. Whether it breaks it, doesn't, not going to really matter ultimately, because I think it's going to mean more new all-time highs for the Qs, just like you got this day. But this is in accumulation mode. If you can get a entry around 245, that would be extraordinary. It's going higher ultimately. And then IGV, the fifth best area this week, up 4% in the past 5 days, or a little less than 1% a day. It was up flat today, essentially. Now what? This is frothy. This shouldn't be up here. This should come down. So it's interesting. So we're looking at movements in metals and mining, and what's going to happen with ARC stocks, semiconductors, and things are moving every which way. So this, in the internet space specifically, the software shares, this should get down to about 86. There should be a mean reversion here pretty soon. Not a massive one, but down to 86. which is $1.88. Not nothing. You might see 2% cheaper in the stocks for in this sector, in this subsector. All right, top 5 losers of the past 5 days. No repeats. Nat Gas down a whopping 10.5%. That is the best trade in the entire market. If you had that for the past week, congrats. Nat Gas down 10.5% over the past week, or about 2% a day. Today down 0.7, so kind of in line. Got to zoom in because it's such crap. We were talking about it getting the chem bait here on May 23rd, and then here on June 11th and 12th. Now what, as it's at its lower band? Yeah, I don't think it's going to go too much more. I think the support around, I have support a little higher actually here based on a couple of different retracements, but this looks a little discounted. I think it should probably get a little bit of a move towards 18 over the next 2 weeks or so. But it is momentum to the downside. Don't want to step in front of it. Speaking of getting in front of it, Bitto, not looking good. Bitcoin has not performed well. So we were talking about this a little bit ago. We thought this was, at least it would be a big move in the in Bitcoin itself. I think we were talking about it, making a move towards 68 to 70K and then dropping again. It can never even do that. The best it can get, and this is why I'm concerned about this, is the 200-day moving average. It's not rolling over yet. It's still rising by about 4 cents or so a day. It sits today at 22.80, but that looks kind of far. The volatility has not really sharpened, and opened up. It's actually oversold as well for the first time since boopity bop. Let me see, what was the RSI here? No. So Bitcoin through BITO, first time oversold since August 28th of 2023. So not a great thing that you want to be talking about. And your highs were St. Paddy's Day week. So, that was a while ago. So a little bit concerning. What happens here? I think it should at least, you kind of need to see it mean revert to 22.35 or so, and at least hold this and try to make a climb towards 22.80. My fear is it gets exhausted, tries to get to 22.80, gets there, and now it falls over, and now it looks extremely heavy. You can look at this chart here, lower highs here in March, there in April, here in April again. You hit pretty bad lows in May. You just overtook those lows in May this week, so not great stuff for Bitto. I hate investing in it because I'm addicted to mega cap tech, but don't want to say anything. But I'm saying it's possible people are addicted to stuff with earnings. They're buying Brazil, on a day like today. They're buying, obviously, Taiwan. They're buying Chinese internet. Baidu off 52-week lows. These things have different relative value versus other firms where you have to broaden and diversify your portfolio versus the T-bills, money market rates, for example. So just saying, the thing that you have to buy, gold isn't breaking new records, and silver is more of a spec metal. Anyway, so Bitto, the second best short in the market, down 7.5%. Yikes. All right, ITB. So obviously, again, a rates story, right, or correlation. So ITB down not horribly. So the losers the past 5 days were Nat Gas down 10, Bitto down 7, and the next three I'm going to talk about are down 2%. So it's not massive. So interesting week where the best trades were short Nat Gas and Bitcoin and long silver. Those were the best trades of the week. The semis and all that kind of stuff, they did better. They did well, a couple percent, but really the alpha and relative performance was in those. All right. Ooh, I don't take a breath in these things. Okay, ITB. The story scares me in this. I don't know. I don't love it. I don't think you're going to get breakout gains or anything. So I think it tries to make a move off 101. I do think this holds. It hasn't had a hard time with its 200-day moving average since Halloween. That was the last time that was coming off of its 52-week lows. So totally different environment. I don't think things are that bad. It's a very important level. It's 97.5. So I think it's going to hold. You got 2 chances. I think this springboards to 101 pretty soon. And then from there, probably just mean reverse around there and then goes maybe a bit lower. This thing ultimately very heavy resistance at about 108 here. I don't see that. I don't see it getting to this point where it was at the end of May for a little while. All right, ARKG. I'm in these puts. I'm actually going to roll my put spread on Friday. It's been a very good position and just spot on what my portfolio needed. So this thing's been crapola, down 2.5% in the last week. Today, trying to claw back up 1.2. Now, what I've said, this is going to go up. I'm trying to, not time it, but I'm going to roll on Friday regardless as the other leg expires. Anyway, I do think this is going to be accumulated. I said it's gotten a little bit too cheap, and I expect that $23 low to hold. And I see this going to about 24.40 over the next, 2 to 3 weeks. So that would be your trade there. The ARC G trade, pairs trade, if you're looking for something, that one still works. Long ARC K, short ARC G. It's an interesting one. If you did that, you would have got 7% this week total. So that's pretty nice. And I mentioned that a couple of days ago. Rocky, you gonna pat me on pat my shoulder? Pat me on the shoulder? No, his arms are too short. This is a little dog anatomy class. And lastly, retail down 2%. I did see this. I was personally affected. I'm long Abercrombie and Fitch, so the portfolio showed this. The highs here were May 14th. Let me see. This still looks like a positive story. I like the slope to this 200-day moving average. The highs were put in, 2 months ago. Not great. Lower highs, but not grossly. I think this has a mean reversion to move to 75. I think you're going to get that. And then after that, the real heavy lifting will be as it tries to get to 79. Obviously, as it tries to tackle its 52-week high. All right. So best of the absolute trades of the past 5 days: short nat gas, short Bitto, long silver, and have a great 4th of July. Don't Jason Pierre-Paul your fingers off, and happy birthday, America. What are we, a couple 100 years old? I think we saw both of those guys worth a couple 100 years old on TV last week. Peace. Happy birthday, America.